Every morning, the countdown begins for the markets with meticulous research and analysis designed to help you capitalize on the trading day. Beaming live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studio.
Good morning. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Bazaar Morning Call. We are coming to you live from the CNBC TV 18 Motilal Oswal studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Mangalam and Reema. Guys, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
We start the day with a bit of a somber news. That is the passing away of TTK Jagannathan of TTK Prestige. You know, we've had multiple conversations with him on the air. He was witty, he was quick, and he was the only person who was a producer's nightmare in the sense that he never gave you answers more than 2 words. But those 2 words were very insightful. I've been very lucky to have a longer conversation with him and spend an entire day with him at his Bangalore R&D facility. And the man, the age with his age and the kind of work that he's done, you know, far outweighs the achievements of any other corporate leader that I know of. I just wish that we celebrated him a lot more while he was alive. I mean, just to give you a perspective, he totally disrupted the industry with the gasket release system. But apart from that, he's also a gold medalist from IIT Madras and an academician and so much more.
Absolutely. A producer's nightmare and anchor's nightmare as well.
You needed like 15 questions.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire always.
Well, may he rest in peace. Absolutely extraordinary man and a gem of a person. I mean, hearts go out to his family and, of course, the organization as well. Okay, well, let's just quickly start with telling you about what you need to know with regards to markets now. I'll start with not the US market, sort of read through about what happened, but about President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. So the US-India talks, whatever you want to call it, they had taken a bit of a backseat. Things had quietened down quite a bit. But last evening, Prime Minister Modi and President Trump spoke. Prime Minister Modi congratulated President Trump on the success of the Gaza peace plan. That's the tweet from Prime Minister Modi. Both leaders agreed to... they also, by the way, reviewed the progress with respect to India-US trade negotiations, as you can see on your screen, and they agreed to stay in close touch over the coming weeks. So I think very, very significant, and I don't think we should take it lightly in that sense. I think this is material when you look at where this kind of goes from here. Although the noise around India, US and what happens has gone to the background, it's still very much there. It's still a bit of a sentiment overhang. And can you read this as one more step towards resolution? I would say yes. Now, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also had this to say. He said that India is going to see rebalancing where India buys lesser Russian oil. India is going to start rebalancing over the next few weeks and months in favor of US oil. Let's actually listen in to Mr. Bessent.
We're doing a lot on Russia, but the real culprits here have been China and India in terms of buying Russian oil. They are keeping the Russian war machine going, and we put a 25% Russian oil tariff on India, and I think soon we're going to see a rebalancing where they're buying less Russian oil, more American oil, and if we were to do the same thing on China, I think the war would end quickly, but we need our NATO or European allies to join us. It's my strong belief that India is going to start rebalancing over the next few weeks and months, and we will see a diminishment of Russian oil in favor of U.S. oil.
Well, I think you add all these together, the conversation between the leaders, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and I think you start to get a little bit more hopeful. Of course, it's never done till it's done, but I think steps in the right direction. I think markets will take note even, for example, not just equities, which have started to maybe already price some of this in with a gradual kind of a lift. Remember, look at, the FI numbers. Yesterday, we had about 1,300 crores of net positive. And over the last 3-4, at least the selling has stopped. A few hundred crores every day, positive, but the selling seems to have stopped. And I think if this US-India thing also starts to get resolved, you perhaps will see a bit of a turn in sentiment. We'll talk more about this, and we'll get you various aspects of this. Now, to the US market close, a bit of a drift lower. S&P down about a quarter, Nasdaq down about 0.8%, 0.08%, so not very much, just a drift. Now, there was expectation that Fed Chair Powell will discuss monetary policy in his remarks in the absence of data, but he did none of that, so not very much. There were other Fed spokespeople, but it's a mix. Some saying, well, the room for rate cuts, others saying inflation perhaps will. But at the end of the day, we'll just have to wait out for what really happens. And we were hoping to get something from Fed Chair Powell, but nothing as such. Gold prices fell about 2%. So that's been the other big talking point, even perhaps more than equities. Below $4,000 on some profit booking. Oil prices about 1.5% slip. Dollar index moved up in terms of macro markets, and 99.4 as far as the dollar index is concerned. So will we see 100 back here? That's going to be a bit of a small headline. When that happens, we'll see if that comes through or not. Now, just to tie in the levels, yesterday, of course, was a decent, very good rebound. And that started at about, we were working with Nifty up being 60, 70 points at 230. By 330, it was almost double of that. Resistance does not change. It's 25,000. The high was 25,220. That is the first resistance, 25,200 broadly. Support stands at the low of 25,008. Again, the numbers remain same. We seem to be in a bit of a range, but we're knocking at the upper end. Nifty Bank bounced back from the 40-hourly exponential moving average and saw a positive close here. The resistance is 56,500. The support comes in at 55,821. GIFT Nifty will give you a quick sense of how we're likely to start. There is TCS to sort of deal with in terms of the results, etc., the investments which they've announced. We'll do that in just a bit. But 16, 17 points lower is where the GIFT Nifty is opening at. I just want to, before I toss to Mangalam, who's standing by on the F&O stats, throw in one more stat, which I think we must, right at the top. IPOs, right? The IPO frenzy. Just look at the numbers with regards to LG. There you go, on your screen. LG asked for 8,000 crores in terms of, they wanted 8,000 crores from the market. They were handed 4.4 lakh crores. It's just a different, absolutely stunner of a issue, stunner of a sort of IPO, and the way it's kind of worked out. We'll talk more about this one. And it's not a small one, right? We're asking for market cap of 77,000 crores. Look at the response which has come through for this one. Well, that's the IPO bit. More on this later. But Mangalam is standing by what the F&O positioning is looking like. Mangalam, over to you.
Well, yesterday was a good day of trade, but if you just look at the numbers over the last few trading sessions, the Nifty has been seeing supply at 25,200 thereabouts. That's what the highs of the day indicate. Yesterday as well, we were just shy of the 25,200 mark. But the good part is lows are protected too. So we have the 25,000 mark, which is an important support, and just around that is the 20-day moving average. So the 20-day moving average at 25,050 would be an important support. The question is, after the market ended at the high point of trade yesterday and good performance post TCS after the market close, will that lead to a further rally in IT stocks? Because the IT stocks, they've gone into this result season slightly better than what they were earlier. Last week, the index is up 5%, but from its 52-week high, it's down about 22.5%. So to that extent, what happens in the IT pack will determine what happens to the Nifty, whether we break out or not as well. And were we to break out, the short covering will continue. We saw a smidge of that over the last 3 trading sessions where the FIs unwound around 12,000 short contracts. But remember, a large part of the up move yesterday was on account of short covering in index options. So if you look at the index options yesterday, the call writers unwound their positions and the put writers were fairly active. If the Nifty sustains above 25,200, we would see further short covering in index futures, and that would bring a bigger move because in the futures, the FIs are still 93% short. What's also supporting the sentiment right now is for the last 3 trading sessions, FIs have bought in the cash market close to around 2,800 crores. Yesterday, if you look at the options, 25,100, 25,150 and 25,200, all these call writers were caught on the wrong side, had to unwind their positions, and now we've seen writing at the 25,200 and 25,100 puts. All of that tells you that the support for the market has moved higher, and if it does break out, there could be further up move all the way up to 25,400. That's where a lot of punt buying in terms of calls has taken place. GIFT Nifty indicating a softer start. Let's see where we go from here. And on TCS in particular, Rima will speak about the fundamentals and where it goes from here. Just from a FNO standpoint, the 3100 call is extremely active, a premium of 48 rupees. So the stock at around 3061, the stock does cross past that 3100 mark. We will have to see whether it sustains. If it does, then there would be short covering at the 3100 call.
Thank you very much for that. And just for reference, Infosys ADR was up 1.9%, while the Wipro ADR gained more than about 2%. So even as the Nasdaq was flat, there was some buying seen in the Indian IT. So perhaps a rub-off of what TCS had to see and the kind of aggression they showed in terms of participating in the AI ecosystem. But more on that in just a bit. Let's get to the equity call of the day. It's Lawrence Belanco of CLSA who says new all-time highs in Nasdaq 100 and Circle Capital structure deals in AI have generated more talk of the dot-com era bubble. However, he adds their base case suggests that we're currently in the melt-up phase of the market with further juice left in the trade. Regionally, he says they focus on playing this with the following markets: Nikkei, Topix, Hang Seng China, Hang Seng Tech, CSI 300, and they also have some unmet upside targets from their respective breakouts from Q3 2025. On the commodity side, he says LME aluminium looks to be the next base metal ready for a breakout.